Hi everybody, Dorina here, and this is ACI Course 1, The Principal Teachings of Buddhism. This is Class 2. We'll be going through Mushi, Musum, which is an introduction to Buddhist logic, and talk about what Buddha nature is. In this class, we're going to begin with an introduction to Buddhist logic called Musi, Musum. At the end of this class, you should be able to explain what is meant by Mahamudra and its relationship to the three principal paths, and use Mushi Musum to show the relationship between the Mahamudra and the three principal paths. You'll also know the two main causes for Buddhahood and their relationship to the three principal paths, and you'll be able to give the two obstacles to Buddhahood. Before we get started, we need to go over the definitions of some terms we will be using. Sutra means the open teachings of the Buddha. This refers to any open teaching the Buddha gave, which is basically what the 18 ACI courses you're taking are based on. And this is in contrast to the secret teachings of the Buddha, which is the Tantra. Now, why are the secret teachings secret? Well, they're a higher level teaching, and they require initiation and tantric vows. So basically, they can't just be open because you really do need to have a guide or a teacher help you as well as give you an initiation. They're fantastic in the sense that successful practice of Tantra leads to Buddhahood in one lifetime. Now, the Buddha designed these for lay practitioners, especially nobility, people who came into this life with fairly good karma, like kings. And so this was designed for people who weren't going to go to the monastery and devote their life to monastic practice, but people who already had fairly high levels of karma and limited amount of time because they were busy running nations. So they require a teacher, initiation, tantric vows, and also a deep understanding of the sutras. In fact, if you practice sutra, the information in the sutra or the open teachings, you will naturally begin to do some of the things that are actually part of the secret teachings. They'll just Tantra happens to you, is how Geshe Michael put it. Mahamudra means the Great Seal. Maha, as we see in Mahayana, means greats. Mudra is oftentimes refers to special hand postures, and in this case in general means seal. So the Great Seal is its literal translation. It can refer to a number of things, but it can refer to high-level practices like Tantra-like practices. So basically Tantra and Mahamudra both are referring to fairly high-level practices. Mahamudra also is a code word for the direct perception of emptiness. Now, as mentioned in the first class, it is important in Buddhism that information is not just taken at face value. One of the ways we verify that the information is correct is by using logic and analysis. In this class, we're going to present one form of logical analysis that is used called Mushi Musum. Now, first we're going to introduce the method, and then I'm going to go and use it to prove that you must have the three principal paths for successful tantric practice or for Mahamudra. I'm going to present the material as it was presented to me, so you'll have it. But I must admit, I'm not sure I totally understand the utility of Mushi Musum. It seems to be most useful in checking to see if two things exist as separate things. It also is a very useful method of just conducting an analytical meditation. It was presented as a proof for the three principal paths being necessary for successful Tantra practice, and for me it's not convincing as a proof, but the material in this class will show that those two things are required in tandem. Okay, Mushi Musum. Let's start by considering any two existing things. They have to combine in either 3 or 4 of these following ways. So we're going to look at thing A and thing B, which could be any existing thing. And we're going to look at 4 different relationships, and either 3 or 4 of these relationships must be true. The first is it can be A and not B. So you'd look at, I'm presenting it kind of abstract, then we'll do a real concrete example, so don't get too stressed out here. So number 1 criteria is A and not B. The second criteria is going to be B and not A. Then you can have both A and B, or you can have neither A nor B. So those are so any two existing things have to combine in either 3 or 4 of these ways: A and not B, B and not A and B both, or neither A nor B. So let's look at a real example. Let's consider two things, yellow and sky. So yellow is our A and sky is our B, or vice versa, doesn't matter the order. So we've got sky but not yellow. So in this case it's B but not A. Kind of went in a different order. So sky but not yellow. Now is that true or false? Can something be sky and not be yellow? Yeah, because sky is blue and it's not yellow. So true. The sky can be blue or cannot be yellow. What about something, can something be yellow but not be sky? Here again we think in our head, can we find an example of something that's yellow but not sky? And I came up with banana. Yep, but banana is yellow and it's not sky. So the second one is yes. Then can something be sky and yellow? So in this case, I think of sky as either blue or gray or dark, but not ever completely yellow. So I'm going to say no, the sky is blue. That one's not true. So the last one, can something be neither sky nor yellow? Can I think of something that's not sky and is also not yellow? Yeah, sure. A red ball, for instance. There's probably a large number of things that it's neither sky nor yellow. So that's an example of how to do it. So you can pick any two existing things and go through and practice just that process of looking for which one of these statements is going to be yes and which one's going to be no. And we've said that for any two existing things, either 3 or 4 of the statements will be true. And here we have 3 of them being true. So let's now turn our mushi musum on the question of whether we can have the successful tantric practice without the 3 principal paths. So in this case, we're going to let A equal the 3 principal paths, and I'm going to just abbreviate it as path. And then we'll let B be successful tantric practice or mahamudra, and we'll just call that tantra. So our first one is going to be, can we have path, the 3 principal paths, without successful tantric practice? Sure, no problem there. That would be somebody who has the realizations of renunciation, bodhicitta, and correct view. The 3 principal paths are renunciation, bodhicitta, and correct view. You can have those without having a tantric initiation or tantric practice, let alone successful. So that would be a yes. Tantra without path. Can you have successful tantric practice without the 3 principal paths? No, and we're going to see in our next slide for sure why we must have renunciation, we must have bodhicitta, and we have to have correct view for Tantra to work at all. So there's our no. 3, can you have Tantra, successful tantric practice, and the 3 principal paths at the same time? Sure. No problem at all. You can have those 3 realizations and have a successful tantric practice. Then finally, can you be without the 3 realizations and without tantra? Sure. That's your regular person on the street who's, doing a job and into material things and maybe not on a spiritual path. So sure, that would be a yes as well. You can have that. So we had 1, 3, and 4 were our yeses, and 2 was our no. You have to have the 3 realization for Tantra to work. So this leads us to, this is the meatiest slide of our presentation today, the 2 main causes for Buddhahood. So there's a lot of activity on this slide. So we'll start off, the 2 main causes for Buddhahood. So the 2 principal causes are going to be method, which is tap in Tibetan, and wisdom, which is sherab in Tibetan. So those are our 2 principal causes for Buddhahood. So our next question is what makes up, what does method mean? That's kind of obscure. Wisdom, we can maybe kind of figure out what that might be leading towards. So the question is what really makes up these 2 causes? method is primarily bodhicitta, which means doing good deeds. So that's method. It's bodhicitta, doing good deeds. So the principal path that leads, to one of the main causes for Buddhahood, or as part of one of the main causes for Buddhahood, is bodhicitta. So this is where we see that, if Tantra gets you to Buddhahood in one lifetime, and one of the main causes for Buddhahood is bodhicitta, you have to have that principal path. Wisdom, as we suspected, is going to be correct view. So correct view, that principal path is a big component of wisdom, and of course that's the perception of emptiness. So we have the two main causes for Buddhahood, one of them being directly coming out of bodhicitta, that principal realization, and the other one directly coming out of correct view. So where does renunciation fit into this? The other principal path, maybe we don't need that. It's like, now we need renunciation. Renunciation, again, is if you haven't renounced the world, and I'm not really interested in what the world gives you, then there's no way you're going to turn yourself to helping other people, because you'll be seeking material things or worldly things first. So renunciation is your fundamental jumping off point to get bodhicitta. So it's the realization that feeds into these other two realizations. So you've been going and you're doing good things. What do you end up with? You end up with a collection of merit. In Tibetan, Sunam Kichok. So the collection of merit. The collection of wisdom is what you get on the other side here. Yeshe Kisoka. And take a minute and look at the Tibetan, especially the first word, collection of merit, Sunam. So Sunam means merit, and Yeshe means wisdom. And you notice that one of your homework gives you the assignment of memorizing the dedication prayer today. And Sunam Yeshe, you're going to see those two words in that prayer, because you're going to pray that the goodness of your deed leads to everyone completing the collection of Sunam and Yeshe, of merit and wisdom, so that we can all become Buddhas. So the direct cause of a Buddha is going to be the collection of merit. It's going to form the Buddha's form body, which is known as the Rupakaya in Sanskrit, or the Sukhu in Tibetan. The collection of wisdom is the direct cause of the Dharma body, or the Dharmakaya in Sanskrit. So kaya means body. In Tibetan, Chukku. So we've got, most of your homework is going to be answered with this slide. We've got the two principal causes of Buddhahood being method and wisdom, the two bodies of a Buddha, which is what you end up when you become a Buddha. You have two bodies, the form body and the Dharma body. Those are respectively resulting from the collection of merit and the collection of wisdom. The two principal paths that make up the two main causes is going to be bodhicitta for method and correct view for wisdom. So let's talk a little bit more about the bodies of a Buddha. So we just saw that there's two bodies of a Buddha, the form body, or the Rupakaya, and the Dharmakaya. Now in some systems, they talk about the Trikaya, meaning the three bodies of a Buddha. Tri meaning three, Kaya meaning body. Trikaya. And where that comes from is the form body can be divided into two. You've got the Sambhogakaya, and the Nirmanakaya. Now the Sambhogakaya is going to be the body that the Buddha sees when he looks down at him or herself in their Buddha paradise. We translate it as the enjoyment body. This is the body of light, no organs, no real, it's not physical in the sense that we're used to. So the enjoyment body is the part of the form body. The Nirmanakaya can also be called the emanation body, or the physical body that we would see if a Buddha came onto this planet and visited us. We would see that physical body. So the form body is divided into these two pieces: the body that the Buddha keeps in the paradise, where she is all the time, and then the body that she's emanating to countless people and countless planets and countless universes. that can go out simultaneously, spontaneously. The Dharmakaya is basically the emptiness and omniscience of a Buddha's mind. And I think sometimes you can end up, some people want to like divide that even into two. You can end up with 4 bodies of a Buddha. So the emptiness of the Buddha's mind is really, I mean, when I become a Buddha, and when you become a Buddha, the emptiness of your mind right now is going to be the same emptiness of your mind then. So it's because of the emptiness of your mind right now that you'll be able to mass these collections of merit and wisdom, and those will be able to transform into the form body in the Dharmakaya. So the Dharmakaya, when I think about its emptiness as well as the omniscience, the awareness of a Buddha. There's 2 obstacles to Buddhahood, Shedrip and Yundrip. In Tibetan, that's knowledge obstacles, the drip part being obstacles, and the she being knowledge, which is basically, it's lack of knowledge that blocks your omniscience. So you can't be omniscient because you've got these obstacles or blocks, which is your lack of knowledge. Yundrip is bad thought obstacles. Now bad thoughts, these are those mental afflictions. They block your freedom from the mental afflictions. And it's our mental afflictions that keeps us in the sickly bodies we have. The mind moves the chi, or the prana, and that energy, that subtle energy, creates and supports our body. Mental afflictions are the precursors to energy blocks, which manifest ultimately as disease and aging. So, it's our bad thoughts that prevents us from getting that body of light and those emanation bodies. It blocks our rupakaya, or form body. It's the knowledge obstacles that, not having a direct perception of emptiness, that blocks our ability to be omniscient. So those are the 2 major blocks to Buddhahood. So, homework 2. You'll have some questions, and there's the last question, question 10, was actually covered in class 1. It's a question about why J. Tsongkhapa could write 10,000 pages of deep, meaningful text, and that's because he was in contact with gentle voice, or Manjushri. So he had direct contact with an enlightened being and who was helping him out there. There's also, I'm just realizing too, the first question has to do with why not, does merit necessarily lead to nirvana and Buddhahood? So we just talked about the collection of merit when we were talking about one of the causes for the body of the Buddha, which the collection of merit being the method side, which leads to the form body. And so does every good deed lead to the formation of a Buddha's body, or is it a direct cause? And the answer is no, because the way it's taught, at least, is that you don't actually start collecting your merit to become a Buddha until after you have bodhicitta and you're doing deeds under the influence of bodhicitta, and also you need to have a perception of emptiness. So you have to have knowledge as well. So they go hand in hand. Then that collection becomes meaningful because it's done with purpose. So it's almost, you have to have the intention of a bodhisattva, and you have to have a level of wisdom. So there's some talk that it really, until you get to the first bodhisattva bhumi, you're not really collecting the merit that's going to lead directly to Buddhahood. But certainly, with an understanding of emptiness, and even with sugarcane bodhicitta, you're already collecting merit that's going to be very useful on the path. It's maybe not direct, but before you can get to direct, you have to get through to seeing emptiness. You have to get through to real bodhicitta. So it's definitely not a waste of time. But it really doesn't start becoming a direct cause for Buddhahood until you've had a few realizations. Your memorization assignment, as I mentioned, is going to be the dedication of a good deed prayer in Tibetan. So memorize that one. It's really nice. And that's what we use at the end of a teaching. So when we're done, you click your done button here, you can go through and dedicate this incredible good we've done to the benefit of all sentient beings. And then your meditation assignment is the same as the last time. Keep looking at what renunciation is and maybe how close you've come to it. So just spend some time with an analytical meditation on renunciation. And remember to record the date and time of your meditation so you can get credit for that. So next class, we're going to talk about the qualities and importance of getting a good teacher. And in the meantime, may the goodness we've done benefit all sentient beings. Bless you.